All right, we are back for another day of cupping, and today we have Inmaculada samples on the table. Inmaculada just sent me 3 samples, so I also put 2 coffees that we are working through profiling to put on the menu. They are coffees already in the roastery, so this is just sort of the beginning of the profiling stage. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Just like last time, I do not know what's what here on the table. The coffees are written on the bottom, and I'm only going off the reference numbers that Inmaculada sent me, so I really have no idea what those coffees are. So let's get started. I skipped all the setup phase. We have waited 15 minutes after pouring, 10 minutes after breaking. And there were some nice cups here. I remember what they were. There's this one, and this one. Good aromas on those, so all right. Okay. So just 5 samples today. This is a lot more in the vein of what I like to do. I don't like being overloaded with samples. 10 samples from yesterday was a little too much for me. And right off the bat, I'm tasting a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, really nice cups. I kind of like all of these to start. Stay right there for now. This is a really nice intense cup. Very juicy. High acidity on this. I'm really enjoying that. This one has some nice complexity going on. And I'm getting some nice florals off of this. Right off the bat. Great sign. Less intense, but very sweet. And a sort of taffy-like sweetness that I really like. On the end here, very berry-like. And I'm going to say this is almost certainly a natural. Good sweetness on this one, but it is softer than the other cups and not quite as screaming. These cups definitely have a lot of character, especially compared to yesterday. Yesterday's cups, there was a lot of sameness across the board and a lot of delicate flavors and frankly kind of a lot of flatness on the table. Not the case here today. All these cups are loaded with character. There's a lot of good intensity here that I'm liking. This being the one cup that is not quite keeping up with the other 4. It's a little quieter, a little softer than the rest. I'm going to put jasmine over here. So lots of intensity, great acidity, and more of a green tea-like florality into the finish, something like a jasmine makes sense here. This one, the floral character here is complemented with some nice citrus. And I think I know what this coffee is. This is one of the coffees that we are profiling to go on our menu. So this is an H&S coffee. And I'm going to write, to narrow it down a little bit, lavender. Floral citrus lavender, complex, certainly a wash coffee. What do you all think that might be? I'm enjoying this one quite a bit. Sweet taffy, a little like a strawberry to that. Quite nice. Yeah, continuing to just kind of be a quieter cup. There's good sweetness here, but not so much acidity. I'm going to put apricot. I'm not saying that I 100% taste apricot on that cup, but it is a heavier sweetness versus acidity versus juiciness. On here, apricot is kind of a fruit that represents that. Acidity popping out on that a little bit. It's kind of nice. It's not quite as clean and tart as a raspberry. It's not quite as heavy as a blueberry. It's kind of in between there. And I'm struggling to think of a berry that I would want to put in there. I'm going to just leave that as is. I'm pretty certain that is just a nice natural coffee. So I want to focus on how clean this cup's going to be, given that I'm 100% positive that's a natural. As I continue to taste through, I may stop paying attention to trying to pick out individual notes and just focus instead on how clean of a cup is this. And if I'm thinking about production roasting this to a much lighter profile, how much, again, of that clean cup am I going to be able to get out? I'm going to be looking at the acidity on that because it does seem to have some nice acidity. How's that going to play out once I get to production? Yeah, it's got that natural vibe. Everything else is very clean. I'm pretty sure everything else is washed. Really loving this. I'm continuing to like this quite a bit. This one definitely is quite nice. I got some questions about the dots, the marks on top. And it's really just a quick reference for me. I don't want to get too bogged down in hunting for notes when I'm cupping, when I'm doing this kind of evaluation, especially when it comes to making purchase decisions. I'm not looking for those final notes that are going to go onto the label. I'm looking for character in the cups that I really like and enjoy, and just using these quick little markers to denote where I'm enjoying these cups relative to others on the table really help me hone in on what I'm going to want to make a purchase decision on. Given that I'm pretty certain that's an H&S coffee that we already have, it's already bought. So I'm looking at this one, I'm looking at this one. There's another H&S on here. It could be this one. It could be this one between these two. So using the markers just really helps me kind of keep the spoon in my hand and try to not get too bogged down in hunting for those individual notes. Right off the bat, I'm just looking for impressions. There's a little intuition in there taking place as well. Well, that could be H&S too. As we're cooling down, this is waking up a little bit. All three of these coffees are kind of similar. I know the notes look quite a bit different, but in terms of their intensity of flavor, the amount of sweetness, the amount of acidity present in each one, this has more acidity, certainly. I'm going to give it a dot and I'm going to write acid down. Versus these two, but the sweetness is very similar across these three. So trying to then narrow down which one of these cups I end up preferring. Probably this one because of the acidity, so I kind of need to decide between these two. Yeah, this one's really waking up. That's really nice. It's almost becoming Ethiopia-like. I'm going to write a grape down here, almost like a green grape. But I think this is an H&S Ethiopia. If you couldn't guess based off the notes, I'm pretty sure that's in Ethiopia. But this is giving some interesting notes now that we're cooling down a little bit. Yeah. Yep, and the tea-like structure of this jasmine note that I wrote down is starting to overtake sort of the initial intense, juicy character of it. I'll make sure to throw another dot on there. And this is starting to get complicated now. Only 5 cups, and so I thought this would be a lot easier. But this is really starting to wake up, and I'm starting to enjoy it. This one's starting to break down a little into the tea-like character. And this could be because of that roast profile, that darker roast profile. A lighter roast could certainly help this just maintain its structure. Could also help push those nice grape acidity out on this one. I think this still gets a little bit of the lead in terms of acidity, but that really did wake up nicely. Okay, let's look at these two. No. I think we can go ahead and put blue on that one. These two now are very close for me. Kind of hard to pick one. I think the sweetness on this is a little heavier. So I'll put syrupy. Whereas this one's a little juicier. I'll put juicy down. Oh my, yeah. Complexity on this one's really popping. For citrus lavender, I got a little shot of grape in there, which was really nice and maybe almost like a plum. A little bit of a tartness, starting to really show a lot of complexity to that cup. Tough stuff. Kind of deadlocked here. My initial thought on this coffee being softer, is almost completely evaporated. So that, that mark, it's good to have that on there so I can remember that I did kind of have that initial impression of it just not quite being as intense or loud as these other cups. But it's caught right back up as the cup has cooled down. Quite important to let cups cool down. You want to get the full experience of the coffee, and as they cool down in the cupping bowls, I think the individual notes start to pop out a little bit better, and their character, sometimes the initial impression of the character starts to reveal itself. As I just kind of said, this was a complex floral coffee at first. That complexity is really starting to show up and starting to reveal just exactly what is happening there with that. So important to do that and to kind of constantly be going through, not just following your initial impression, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes your initial impression is right on. That's natural. And that's not going to change. A lot of green tea coming out here. Predominantly green tea now, whereas these two are still showing a lot of sweetness. I think this might be the heaviest sweetness on the table right here. And so as I kind of wrap up here, I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to tell. And as far as I've sort of ranked these cups, it's tough to actually rank these and to be able to pick. But I want to be able to pick now. I don't really want to reveal first and then make a decision. This is my favorite, but I also am pretty sure that's one of our coffees that's already in the roastery. This became it still has a ton of intensity and acidity, but it's very green tea-like. This has woken up and is showing some nice attributes. This has just been pretty solid all the way through, solid and sweet. I'll go ahead and put 2 over here. I do like the acidity on that. And then between these two, it's tough. I kind of am ranking them equally at this point. I liked this more at the beginning, but now at this point, they're kind of the same in terms of their structure, their sweetness, and what they're giving me. So I'm going to give them the tie. And we're going to give this natural the 5. It's not a bad coffee by any means. If it was on yesterday's table, it would probably be pretty high ranked. It is showing a lot of character that I like. It's pretty clean. But it is natural. It's pretty obvious. If I had another natural on the table, it might be nice to be able to compare. But that's just not the case. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. Those are so similar now. Clear number one, I think undisputable for me. This does end up being number two. The acidity is just so nice on that. The tea-like character to it, as I kind of work through development and think about what's possible with this coffee, I think there could be some really fun stuff with it. These two are neck and neck between each other. I couldn't choose between the two. I think one of these two, I don't think it's this one. I think one of these two is an H&S coffee. And we have just a natural, and then again, it's nice. We'll have to see what it is and make a decision after that. So, okay, let's reveal 179 pink bourbon washed. Okay, cool. Makes sense. I think we might have 3 pink bourbons here. So that's not the H&S. I think the other H&S is a pink bourbon. Actually, I'm sure it is. I don't want to lie to you. This is the Ethiopia. This is Benko Toratu. This is one of our favorite Ethiopias from last year. This is a double ferment, super nice, great intensity, lots of complexity. Takes the table, not too surprising for me. Ethiopia season's coming up. This is going to be a highlight of it for sure. Moving on. Sebastian. Okay, so this is Sebastian Ramirez washed pink bourbon. So we had the white honey geisha a couple months back that was so stunningly floral. A beautiful, beautiful coffee. This is our other lot from Sebastian Ramirez. This is a washed pink bourbon, and I'm excited to put this one out. I got to meet Sebastian a couple months back. One of the first producers I've gotten to meet face to face and actually have him taste my coffee, taste my profile. That was a cool moment. I would like to talk about that some more. So when this drops, I will take that opportunity. Okay, next up, 178. And here's the bag. And 178 is a geisha washed. Geisha Fellows washed. Okay, that surprises me. I assumed this, and this were all tasting quite similar towards the end there, and I kind of pegged this for pink bourbon. So that's interesting. Being a geisha now, having that revealed, I'm going to slurp a couple more times, but I'm going to have to really consider if this is a coffee I want to bring in. If I've ranked it here 3-4 as a geisha, kind of finding it quite similar to this washed pink bourbon. Cost might become a factor here as I decide what I want to do. So that leaves the last one. We don't really need to look, but we will anyways. 154. So our last bag, and this is a geisha natural. So, okay, that makes sense. The same lot, 1 wash, 1 natural. Falling at the end of my preferences here today. I will have to think about this. Yeah. Now that I know what it is and I can be biased, I can't say I'm really being swayed, knowing that it's a geisha. It's tasting about the same to me. I'm slightly preferring this and this. Having a washed and a natural of the same coffee could be a lot of fun to put on the menu, to provide some contrast to make a set out of, but I'll have to look and see what the pricing is on those before I want to make a decision. I would like this pink bourbon washed quite a bit. That's really nice. Talking to Inmaculada, I really wanted to get my hands on some Eugeenoides, some Lorena. I think there might be some Lorena that may come available soon. I'm definitely going to be trying to pursue that. Eugeenoides just might not happen It is a superbly expensive and difficult to acquire coffee. So I don't know, we'll see. Tariffs and things like that are making things a little more prohibitive when it comes to really sending it and going after those super rare and exclusive lots. These are probably worth brewing. Moving over to the Gabby and testing them out and seeing if I get anything superbly different. Might be a fun experiment. These two H&S coffees, working through the profiling stage, really enamored with the Benko Teratu. I think I know exactly how to pull this one out and get it exactly where I want. The Sebastian Ramirez, equally impressive. I would like to taste this side by side with the other pink bourbones we recently released, the La Esperanza 1 and 2, the Brian Joven and the Carlos Ramirez. That could be fun and help dial that one in. I think it's in a good spot, but I think I could maybe amp up the sweetness a little bit more on that and really push it and have a really nice cup. Okay, let's leave it there for today. So I'm going to take my favorite. Give it a nice big slurp. That's sensational. Ethiopia season, folks, it's coming. That is a all-star already. So, okay, fun stuff. The last video was cool. I got some good responses, so I'm going to try and keep doing this for as long as we have samples coming in. So, all right then, until next time, happy slurping.